Fellas, great to be here as always. It's a pretty good time to be in ag at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the roller coasters and the changes in the tide will keep coming, and we're dealing with change again at the moment. The wool market's come well off its previous highs. The lamb market not as strong as it was, but there's so much potential to drive production through a heap of different income streams with the merino, and that's the beauty of breeding such a diverse animal. Oh, the depth this year is what's got me a bit stirred up, Nick. The depth of traits, the depth of wool quality, the depth of animals with the shape that reflects the traits we select for. It's depth, I suppose, in a word, that's got me stirred up. But the thing I like from a client's perspective is the opportunity to make significant genetic gains across all the profit drivers. They can select rams that combine all of those traits in one animal, or they can select more extreme animals to drive growth, or carcass, or fleece weight, or staple length, or breech wrinkle to get away from mulesing. You know, there's just the opportunity to make really rapid genetic gain wherever people need to make it.
And in particular, the Mumblebone sheep have proven yet again like their ability to adapt and perform in a wide range of environments.
Yeah, well, even just the range of seasons we've seen here, like since Glove's been here, we've probably seen the whole spectrum of what we have to offer.
So, I mean, fertility just plays such a strong part of your operation, doesn't it?
Oh, it's an essential part of the modern merino. You know, there's a lot of merino breeds hammering down a heavy fleece weight path, and lambs really are antagonistic in that system to fleece weight. And I get that, it's just not the path that we want to be on. Lambs are an essential part of not just production gains, but genetic gain. The extra selection pressure coming from 140% of lambs instead of 80 or 90% of lambs it's quite mind-blowing when you actually see the sheep that need to be classed out so as not to be overloaded. And then the turnover in terms of cash, not just genetics, that those surplus sheep provide is, you know, it's an essential part of what we're doing here.
Gloves, for you, you've seen recovery from a pretty wild drought till today. I mean, how do you see recovery and the ability to recover from a genetic point of view?
It's blown my mind how quick it happened. You know, like it was tough. You know, we had dud stock and the lambs, weaners locked up and being containment fed, but the flock ewes, for example, were running, you know, on what was left of not a lot, and you know they've conceived at one of their highest rates. You know, and the genetic potential is there.
And tell me, the sire that you've had, look, 652, he's been an amazing influence in your herd, and now multi-generational.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing of it. We join exciting sires that look brilliant on paper, but it's the sons and the daughters of 652 that are really going to dominate the sale this year. So 25% of that cross, it just speaks volume to the potency of that sire, and it really has changed the game here. I've said it for a while. You know, it's a credit to the team at Mumblebone and Mark Ferguson behind the scenes, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have that animal disperse through what we're doing here, and it's just revolutionised the merino, I think.
So fellas, what are you achieving in the areas of genetic gain?
The importance of early growth to not only allow us to turn off our weather lambs, which we did last year at 6 months and 7 months of age for a good margin, but also that flows on into ewe lamb joining, and that helps with our fertility and increasing our flock size post-drought.
And Chad, you're still paying attention, of course, to fleece weight.
Oh, of course, we've never taken our eye off fleece weight. We used some extreme sires for carcass that were light for fleece weight, but the plan was always to cross them to wool types and to continue crossing, or turning the edges in, I guess, you know, strong carcass with strong wool and vice versa, to breed the balance of traits where animals are strong right across the row of important traits.
And Gloves, I think it's so important that you've paid attention to carcass and carcass traits, especially what you've done in the drought with your lambs. Oh
yeah, no, they finish just as well as a crossbred lamb in my eyes, Ben. They hang up well and they dress out well. They're really the ultimate animal, I think. But the carcass traits coupled with growth allow us to cap adult weight as well, you know, so we get that early growth and early maturity to be able to join those young ewe lambs or turn off those weather lambs at a young age. But then we want them to stop. You know, we don't need these big behemoths running around chewing a lot of grass. We want them to slow down. So the pressure on carcass traits allows us to do that.
Chad, tell me about breech wrinkle.
Oh, there's a lot of pressure on the industry to cease mulesing, Benny, and our view is to supply our customer with what they're looking for, and that's a non-mulesed fleece. There's production gains by not mulesing, so there's a lot of reasons to go down that path, and so to give people a figure to select for to move away from mulesing, then breech wrinkle is the obvious one to start with.
Well, it's a fantastic lineup of rams, fellas. So tell us a bit about the spring rams.
Yeah, Ben, I think the spring rams are probably the best lineup of rams I've seen in my short time here, but probably in my time of following the Mumblebone blood. Their body shape this year is just phenomenal. That big round back end, big deep barrel, they really do make a presence in the yards against the other sheep on the place, that's for sure.
And they're fit too, like they're not overfed, they're fit, they're ready for work, aren't they?
Oh, 100%, they'll get the job done, don't worry about that.
And Chad, tell us a bit about the autumn rams, beautiful, powerful lineup of autumn rams.
Yeah. The change behind the scenes with the autumn breeding is the stud ewes have all got a deep pedigree now. We've moved on the sheep that had very shallow pedigree, more on the maternal side, and DNA has been the reason we've been able to do that. And so with that has come more accurate breeding values. And just a more consistent line of figures to match that consistent shape, that consistent phenotype. So they're, again, they're the best we've seen, and I dare say we'll be saying that again next year. It's quite deliberate, it's very easy to go down a narrow trait path, it's all about the kilos, focusing on body weight, fleece weight, or it's all about fleece weight and micron. You make wonderful gains if it's a really narrow focus, but to me there's gaps that are bred into a system with a narrow trait focus, so we need to be across a broad range of traits, and that's where this program is heading, and so the genetic gain is across a broad range of traits to tap into all those profit drivers. Auctions Plus, yeah, we had Auctions Plus running last year. We've made some improvements to the service and speed, so that'll be a big feature of this year's sale. So it just gives people the opportunity to come to one or both of the inspection days, knowing they can then bid online on sale day if needs be. Yeah, well, a photograph of every fleece. There's a much deeper row of figures to help people try and select rams on paper. Again, as things change, we'll just change with it and do what we can to help people make the best decisions they can.
And this year, and I think we'll now continue to do this.
That's got to go in the bloopers tape, hasn't it?